really three people with whom I was very close during my time in the old city. The first is Ismaeil of Betuni, meaning that his family came from the city of Betuni, which is near Ramallah. I already told about how I met him, but he was just an amazing man to be with. Everybody in the town knew him. Wherever you went, people were saying hi, hello. He would go into restaurants, and he was he had this kind of sense of humor. We'd sit and we'd eat, and have a great time, get up to go, and the time came to pay, he'd give a little smile, pull out his pants pockets and show that he's got no money. And everybody accepted it, because they all knew that within a week or 2 weeks he'll pay. And he enjoyed making believe that he was getting away with something. And I guess they all let him have his fun, because he was really so well liked. For me, it was like an automatic connection. I think I said that before, right? We were the exact same age. We had the exact same bellies. I was then around 100 kilo, and so was he. And there was something about his being both innocent and shrewd at the same time, which really appealed to me. I mean, one of the things that happened, which is not written down here, but there was a big snow in Jerusalem that winter, and everybody was locked in. There was no cars, nothing was moving. All it was closed. I walked out. I walked down to the gate, and I looked. I saw the Augusta Victoria and snow, just like we went back 2,000 years, because you couldn't see the roads. It was just all white. So I went back. I had nothing to eat, really. So I went to Awadia, his wife, who was another person I would like to talk about in the future. And we were sitting there, and around 9 in the morning, he comes trudging in with a very guilty look on his face. And she starts screaming at him in Arabic, which I could not understand, and certainly not the speed it went. And he was so childish. But he got stuck, because he was at a house where there are women in Ramallah spending his time, and he got into a car to come back to Jerusalem, and of course the snow came and the car couldn't move, and he had to trudge all night long until he got to Jerusalem. So that's what I mean. He had that wonderful thing about him. Just made you laugh, even the strangest things that he would do. I don't know if I mentioned or not, but just about that time, I found the Ibrahim, the guy in the store next to us, the candy peanut store, like smiling and suddenly acting like he's my best friend. And I went to see Ismaeil, and he showed me a letter he got from the Fatah, saying, "We know you, and we have great appreciation and honor for your integrity, and we hope you won't keep a Israeli Jew in your home." And he showed it to me. I mean, I couldn't read it; it was all in Arabic, but he read it out like that for me. And then he said, so I thought, he said, "Who could it be? Your neighbors from the other side, they know that you're Israeli, and they're friendly with you. Nobody else knows what's going on and knows who you are. So who could have told the Fatah that you were an Israeli? It had to be Ibrahim. So I went down. I dragged Ibrahim into the street. I beat him up so everybody could see. And I said, Mr. Miller is my guest, and so long as he wants to stay, he can stay in my home. And you tell that to the Fatah and anybody else you want. And he said, don't worry, nobody will. And though there was another time, we were sitting, and this really got my prickles up. We were talking about 1948. And I told him I came in 1949. And he said that he was one of the volunteers that joined the Kokachi, I believe it was, the army that was coming down to attack Israel. And he was at the Battle of Iraq, Sudan. There's a police station. It was a very famous battle. And I'd read about it in one of Uri Avneri's books. And all of a sudden he's relating the same thing, but just from the other side. And in the book, he says that there was one point when somehow or other there was a flare-up of brush, and they were easy targets, and they lost a lot of people that way. And he says, I was sitting on top of a roof, and I was just sitting there, and the guy next to me had a Vickers, an old English machine gun, and he was afraid to use it, because if he used it, then the Israelis would see where the fire was coming from, and they'd kill him. So he didn't want to use it. And I kept saying, you gotta use it, you gotta use it. It's Ismaeil talking. And he said, I got so mad, I pushed him aside, I took the Vickers, and I just started shooting. The whole chain, the whole string of bullets. And they hit the bushes, and all of a sudden everything lit up. And it was very good for us. So I said, wow. I said, I know about that. I just heard it from the other side. And then he stops and he looks at me and says, see, how can this be? You're an Israeli. These are your people. I'm talking about how I was fighting them. And you don't get mad. And I stopped and I really had to think. And I said, I'm a Jewish Israeli that came to a kibbutz that was built on the Imara village. There are 2 or 3 villages of the Imara there. It was built on your land. And you're ready to talk to me. So I think that if we're going to get anywhere, we both have to accept the different realities that we live in. And friendship is different than politics. So he sort of shook himself a little bit, poured us both what was left in the bottle of Johnny Walker, and said, this is a little too much for me, and let's get drunk. So we got drunk. Was looking around, and I didn't see Ismaeil. I came to visit, and he wasn't there. I finished the year, I came to visit, he wasn't there. So I kept asking, and then somebody said he got into trouble with the police. So I asked a little more exactly what happened, and he was in a car, and they were bringing hash from Ramallah to sell to their partners in Tel Aviv. Commerce went that way very quickly across the borders. And they were stopped, and he was the only one who was arrested because they were trying to get him to be a, how do you say mashtap in English?
To cooperate.
Informer.
To be an informer, because they knew he was very popular. And there's another story that will be coming about that, because the security services were bothering both me and him for quite a while during the year that I was there. At any rate, they said he's in jail, and his trial is coming up. So I checked out where and when, and I found out it was in Tel Aviv. At that time, I had my group, the group that I brought over, was in studying in Bet Barrel, a place in Israel, near Kfar Saba. I had a school there. And I took a day off, and I went to the courthouse. And he was being arraigned there for bringing a drug into Israel from Ramallah, and he was the only one they took from a whole car full of people. But I couldn't do anything about that. I got in there. I approached the judge and I asked to say a few words, and he said okay. And I just told him the truth. I said, this man gave me a place to stay in the old city when nobody else would. I spent days looking for somebody who'd rent me a place, and he was the only one who was ready to do it. He's been very fair and straight with me, and I consider him a friend. And I can't imagine he'd do anything against Israeli laws. However, I have no idea why he's here now. And what happened at the end of the day is that they sent him home. And so he came out. He was very excited by what I did, because he thought I'd left the old city. I'd left Ismaeil. I was back to my own business. So he called a taxi and put me in, and took me back to Jerusalem. And we went from one hotel to another, and eating and drinking and eating and drinking. And he kept saying, I'm leaving before morning. You won't see me anymore, because they're going to get me one way or the other. Either they'll arrest me or they'll tell everybody that I've become an informer, and nobody will think otherwise, because why was I released? So I have to get out of here. I'll be gone. And this is our goodbye party. And that's it. We hugged and we kissed, and he left. And as I said, I spent some time with his wife. It took a year and a half, I think, until she took the kids and went back. Whenever I could help financially, I would. And I heard from taxi drivers, because I used to go from the kibbutz to the university on Sunday mornings with a taxi company, where the drivers, most of them were from East Jerusalem. And a couple of times I got messages from him saying that he's okay, and he likes to be able to hear from me through the drivers. And one time I heard that he was arrested because he got into a fight with a Jordanian officer. Not a smart thing to do, but that's Ismaeil. That's it. That's what I can say about him, except for the fact that he was very, very close to me. And it was really the differences between us, culturally and everything else, meant nothing, absolutely nothing. We were just fit for one another.